Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Guys Who Stare. Stats Cade Kennedy with you. It is a Sunday afternoon, so you know what that means. It's time to look at the AP poll for Week 7 of the college football season. Hard to think we're nearly already halfway through the season, but folks, as always, feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment down below because we're going to continue to track this thing all the way through. And we got to start with number one. Obviously, it's Texas again. Ohio State moves up to 2. Neither of those were surprising, considering all the chaos we had yesterday. Alabama losing, you can see that they've moved down to 7. Tennessee losing, you see that they've only moved down to 8. And just, as we go through this here, Oregon and Penn State both getting their 3-spot leaps to 3 and 4. That sets up a monumental game, to say the absolute least, between Ohio State and Oregon next week. Texas had the bye. Ohio State a 35-7 win over Iowa that seemed way too close for comfort at halftime, but Ohio State eventually pulled away. Oregon beating up Michigan State. Don't let that 31-10 you see there on the screen fool you. It was not that close. Same with Penn State in the 27-11 win over UCLA. Georgia comfortable over Auburn, kind of similar deal with Ohio State. Looked a little shaky for a while in the first half, but Georgia eventually pulling away. Miami is number 6, and Miami just talk a little bit more about that. Tyler and I will in the recap video that'll come out tomorrow, but Miami escaping Cal with some questionable help at the end, but either way, Miami taking care of business and able to rally back, which seemed like they were dead to right, but like I said, we'll talk about that a little bit more. Same with Bama and Tennessee. We'll go into more detail on that. Alabama had the video yesterday. Just still looks weird to see that. Lost to Vandy 40-35. That's just something I never thought I would see. Alabama played absolutely dreadful on defense by their standard, by anybody's standards. You should not be giving up 40 points to a team like Vanderbilt, a team you have consistently beaten. For the last 23 games you'd beaten them. Alabama thought they would have maybe dropped a little bit more for losing that game, considering, who they lost to, but it didn't seem to happen there. And I get that because they have the win over Georgia. I think that's their saving grace for right now. Not to get into too much playoff talk in this video, but that definitely will be an important point for the rest of the season. Tennessee, same deal. They had the big win over Oklahoma. They had a win over NC State that completely went away. NC State's just demoralized and beaten up now. That game doesn't mean as much. Tennessee kind of shocked the same way, only falling 4 spots there. But Ole Miss rising up to number 9. Clemson at 10. Iowa State, the big jump up to 11. 5 spots, same with the Tigers at Clemson. And Notre Dame tied for 11th with Iowa State. You're going to see another tie here, just taking a peek at it when we get down. Because, my goodness, this is just going to be wild to look at as we continue to go through. Ole Miss, comfortable win over South Carolina. Same with Clemson over Florida State. Iowa State got in some trouble early, but then, as you can see, rolled Baylor in the second half. No problem there for the Cyclones. Notre Dame had nothing really going on this week. Bye week for them. Took care of business there by doing absolutely nothing. LSU at 13, you can look the exact same thing there. And LSU, kind of weird that they were the only ones that really stayed put. I would think they would have maybe caught that train as well and be able to jump up and maybe set up a top 10 Ole Miss LSU game next week. Did not happen there, though. And then BYU up to 14. If you would have told me Iowa State and BYU would be the 2 top 15 teams in the Big 12 at this point in the season, if you would have told me that 7 weeks ago, I would have simply laughed at you. I would have thought that would be Iowa State. I could maybe believe it if they beat Iowa, which they obviously did. BYU, just incredible to see them here. They continue to climb the ranks and really have established themselves as a championship contender in the Big 12 this season. Texas A&M at 15. That's what happens when you destroy a top 10 team like Missouri. When you're at home and you just absolutely rip them to shreds. A&M played their best game of the year easily. And the Aggies getting a little bit back to full strength. Connor Wigman coming back. The Aggies looked great. I expected them to jump up big. Going up 10 spots does not surprise me. If they wanted to knock them a little bit higher, it wouldn't have surprised me either. But Utah at 16, just kind of moving up with everything else that went on. When you have three teams, 9, 10, and 11 all lose, it's not going to shock me to see every weird thing going on there. Boise State moving up to 17, the Broncos getting even more respect, as they should. I mean, Ashton Jeanty just is that guy. This is an amazing Boise team. If you still have not seen them yet, somehow, you really need to watch them. They're good. They are a fantastic team to keep an eye on this year. And then we got this. You don't see this often. A three-way tie for number 18 between Kansas State, Indiana, and Oklahoma. Kansas State, Oklahoma, both on byes this week. Indiana, I think they're the most deserving of the three. If you want to put someone, if we really wanted to try to sort this out here, who's the best case for number 18? It's got to be Indiana. They're 6-0. They continue to win. Indiana is a winning team this year. Talked about it a little bit last week. Their schedule favors them so much to continue to rise later in the year. And Kurt Cignetti, just what a job he's done in year one at Indiana. He said, I'm going to come in. I'm a winner. We're going to win games. Indiana has done exactly that. And then Missouri, sitting at number 21. This might be one of the most pathetic losses I can remember for Missouri in a long time in terms of all the hype they had this season, watching it slowly peter out against Boston College. Oh, they didn't look that great, but hey, Boston College is a good team. Then you get taken to overtime by Vandy. Obviously, we know about Vanderbilt now, but then to go into Aggie land and to just lay an egg like that and just let A&M wail on you the entire game, just simply, nowhere close to good enough for Missouri. Had no real chance. It looked like they gave up after a while. It honestly looked like, okay, Missouri's down, by 21, 28. They don't want to be here anymore. They have simply flat out decided that they don't want to be here anymore. And it's sad to see for Missouri because I had a lot of expectations for them. They had a chance to really make a run this year, but when you play games like that, where does Missouri go from here? Once again, we'll talk about that. Tyler and I will a little bit more in Monday's video. And then Pitt. Shout out to Pitt. Pitt is back in the AP Top 25. It's been a while since we've seen the Panthers sitting nicely at 5-0, got their win at North Carolina. It's good to see. The ACC just continuing to kind of have that revolving door of who's going to get into the top 25. Syracuse obviously had a big win as well this week. I'm sure they'll be in the receiving votes part. Illinois at 23. They move up a spot just given all the chaos that's going on. That's fine for them. Michigan falls 14 spots down to 24. And honestly, I'm surprised they didn't just get thrown out of the poll. They looked very close to it. You could see there they got 170 points. SMU at 25, which, by the way, welcome to SMU. SMU is still undefeated in ACC play. It's amazing how that works. They got the big win over Louisville. But Michigan just looked, they still look like a team that doesn't know what to do when it comes to throwing the ball. They switched quarterbacks. Alex Orzier's out. They brought Tuttle in. Third different quarterback Michigan's been on this year. There is still no rhythm offensively. And Washington, for as many mistakes as Washington has made this year, they were not going to be denied at home, it seemed like, in that game. I thought Michigan would have played a little bit better, would have finally started to try to figure something out here. They tried to make that change, but just too many mistakes for Michigan. That's why they fall 14 spots. And I'm honestly surprised they are still in the AP poll. I guess the only reason they are is because they beat USC, who you have noticed probably that they are not in the poll this week. They are nowhere to be found. There's a good reason for that. That's because they lost to Minnesota. So you get SMU at 25, USC, they are the first team out here as my green screen decides it doesn't want to work on me here. But USC, the first team out, then Nebraska, Navy, and Army. And look at that. Even Vanderbilt, the 30th, if you want to call it 30th best team in the country according to the AP poll. There you go. But folks, it has been another wild ride. So always, like I said at the beginning of the video, feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, hit the notification bell. These are all things that they don't really seem like a lot. You'd think, well, that only takes 5 to 10 seconds of my day. Why do I need to hit that button? Why does that seem to matter so much? It doesn't seem like it, but it really does. And we do always sincerely appreciate it when you do. So folks, Until next time, have a good one, everybody.